I can't believe I'm about to say this, but there's real movement over on the Nintendo Switch Online subscription service. Having recently added more Genesis and Nintendo 64 games, it's time for Nintendo to shift their focus back to their 8 and 16-bit systems. That's right, both the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Super NES are getting some love this week, thanks to the release of Daiva Story 6, Imperial of Nirsartia on the NES, as well as both Fighter's History and Kirby's Avalanche on the Super Nintendo. It's great seeing the support, but are any of these games actually worth playing? In order to answer that question, I decided to flip through the pages of Electronic Gaming Monthly, GamePro, Superplay, and more classic magazines to see what the critics said about these games when they first came out. There's no reason to get your lawyers involved because this is another litigious episode of the Nintendo Switch Online Review Crew.
Hello? 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 Where is everybody?
OutRunners for Sega Genesis and Fighter's History for Super Nintendo. It's too hot to play outside.
Let's say that you really want to play Street Fighter 2, but you've already played it to death, so what you really want is a game that's exactly like Street Fighter 2 in every way, shape, and form. If that describes you, then let me introduce you to Fighter's History, a fighting game that's so similar to Street Fighter 2 that Capcom actually sued Data East for copyright infringement. Thankfully, Capcom lost, allowing us to experience a one-on-one fighter that may not be one of the top-tier titles of the 1990s, but is still a whole lot of fun with friends. Like I said, it's perfect for the Street Fighter 2 fans that are looking for something a little bit different, but not too different. When it came to the critics, we mostly found them on the side of Team Data East, arguing that the game is similar, but maybe not that similar to Street Fighter 2. Electronic Gaming Monthly's Sushi X argued that after all the publicity of this game with the Capcom suit, I don't see it being that similar. Several characters have fireball moves and such, but it doesn't possess the feel of Street Fighter 2. He gave it a 6, complaining that it could have benefited from some new innovations or more variety in moves. Steve liked it a little bit more, concluding that Fighter's History succeeds where many fail. The control. The controls are really good, and there are a lot of moves per character. Overall, a good game to pick up if you enjoy fighting cards. Although Die Hard Game Fan would go hard with some rave reviews and scores averaging of 82%, the highest marks actually came from Superplay in the UK. Giving it an 85%, Tony Mott noted that Fighter's History is just as good as the original Street Fighter 2, with fine character weighting, satisfyingly solid connection of blows, and plenty of room for combos. There's no crazy speed option, and there are only 2 bosses. But when all's said and done, if you're dying for more straight Street Fighter 2 style action, you can't go far wrong with this. Back in the United States, GamePro was not impressed. Giving it a 3.5 out of 5, they called it a decent clone of Street Fighter 2, but somewhere along the way, Data East missed a gene or two. This game is a historic piece of rental material. Ooh, that's harsh, but nowhere near the game's lowest score. For that, we turn to Nintendo Power, who ended up giving Fighter's History a 2.8 out of 5. They liked the good play control and graphics, but complained that there's little originality. Data East may have won in the courts, but players won't find many new features to recommend Fighter's History over Street Fighter 2. Oh, and they also hated the annoying soundtrack and poor voice samples. All in all, it's a bit of a mixed bag. While some critics liked it, they all agreed that this was never going to overtake the top-tier fighting games on the market. I say give the game a download for yourself and see if Capcom made the right decision to get their lawyers involved. Hey, you remember in the last episode when I complained about how Nintendo felt they needed to add popular characters to get people to buy their highly addictive puzzle games? Well, here we go again with Kirby's Avalanche, their Americanized version of Super Puyo Puyo, released on the Super Nintendo all the way back in 1995. Much like the puzzlers starring Pokemon and Yoshi, Avalanche adds a bunch of Kirby characters and levels to a completely unrelated puzzle game, creating a fun and colorful title that is great with 2 players. As you'll see, this continues to be a winning combination with the critics, since the games were already great puzzlers even before they were reskinned. Even Next Generation liked it, a rare feat for a 16-bit game from a played-out genre. Giving it a 4 out of 5, they noted that Kirby's Avalanche is an amalgam of Tetris and Dr. Mario, which was itself a Tetris clone. Haven't seen this much inbreeding since that Deliverance touring company came through. While we've seen this kind of game before, and this version doesn't offer any improvements, it's still excellent fun. Superplay also liked the game, giving it a 91%, the highest marks of any of the classic magazines. They explained that the last time we looked at it, we said that consoles were made for games like this. We may now be looking toward the super consoles for next generation thrills, but it only takes something like this to make you realize that good games are all about gameplay. Nintendo Power ultimately agreed with the consensus, but gave the game a lowish 3.3 out of 5 when they reviewed it in their 69th issue. On the flip side, GamePro gave Kirby's Avalanche a 4.5 out of 5, but you might think they gave it a much lower score when you read their review. If you've played similar puzzlers, you'll find nothing new about Kirby's Avalanche. If you haven't, it's a well-done little game that might just suit your style. Yeah, that's not exactly the sound of a game that nearly got a perfect score. But hey, I'm not here to question their scores, I'm just reporting on them. What I will say is that Kirby's Avalanche remains a great playing version of Puyo Puyo. If you've never played that before or don't currently have it on your Switch, then this is an absolute must download.
Alright, son, what's he look like?
Well, he was pink.
Caucasian?
No, pink.
And big, you saying?
Yeah, like a big marshmallow.
Yeah, what'd he do?
He made me and my friend play this game, Avalanche, and he dumped all these little blobs on me. And the only way that I could survive was if I buried my buddy in boulders.
Oh, look, he's a cutie. Is this the guy?
Kirby's Avalanche, the chain reaction puzzle game. Or try Kirby's Dream Course. It's Psycho Golf in 3D, only for Super NES.
Alright, son. Marshmallow?
Hey, thanks for watching me talk about these classic reviews. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post one of these every single time Nintendo adds more games to their subscription services. We're also doing the same thing for PlayStation games that are added to PS Plus. So make sure and check out both of those playlists. Now, here's the question I have for you. Should Capcom have sued Data East over Fighter's history? I mean, they lost, so I guess the court would say no. But what do you think? Is Fighter's history close enough to Street Fighter 2 to go to court over? Let me see your thoughts in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back on Monday with another episode of Next Generation's 1-star reviews. Plus, we're just gonna load up the week with more reviews and a whole bunch of fun. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,